want to know how you see the world. Do you seek out urban beauty? Or do you create your own landscapes? Maybe it's outdoor adventure that makes your world turn. Let us bring your passion into focus and give you the best view yet. At Botwin Eye Group and Oculus Optical, we defy the norms by combining advanced medical eye care with Santa Fe's finest selection of luxury and artful eyeglasses. Botwin Eye Group and Oculus Optical, 2 locations in Santa Fe.
Santa Fe Gloom podcast, our listeners, you guys are in for a really cool episode today. We've got Rod with The Shop. Rod, thank you so much for jumping on. Man, dude, we've known each other for like maybe 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
We've talked 2 or 3 times, texted a couple times, met you in person. But Rod, it kind of feels like we've known each other a little bit longer.
Yeah, amen.
So
I think it's because I mean, if I could, parallel off of it and not to, steal your gumbo and your thunder.
Go for it.
But you're right. I mean, I couldn't have said it better. And but I think it's because there's a lot of people in this world. Like, what is it? Like 9 billion people on a planet or something like, or is that the United States? See, I'm so bad about those, numbers, because are they even real? And a lot of people doing the same struggle. So out of 9 billion people, there's 1 million people like you out there. And it's when we run into those people, you're like, all right, yeah, let me get another one. And that's when they say another round, because you could do 12, 15 rounds. Like back in the day, you were talking about the boxing thing before we started this thing, the podcast, like, because you want to keep going, bro. Like, you don't want to get out of that fight. It feels good kind of to a point, right? In this case, a conversation with somebody at a bar, restaurant, or right now with you in the world, or whoever's, following you. And you don't want to leave that. You go to mom's and she's cooking you mondongo, that's like, it's para mexicanos, it's menudo.
Ooh.
So, right. And then so my mom kills it with that, right? And I love her to death, but she's not the best cook, but she knows how to cook that.
Well, that's
so then
good.
You got your thing with your mom and whoever, and you're like, bro, you do the same thing that I do. And it's like, yeah. And then in business, right? And then in community development, which is what you do. So you are talking to the same person, and that does feel longer because shit, this person is doing the same thing, the thing that I'm doing, was doing, and people don't even know what the hell we're capable of doing.
Yeah, so it's a good starting point. So Rod, I don't even know how we connected.
I think it was Ian. Roberson.
Yes.
Shout out to Ian and the Rogue Genesis.
You,
he's a strength and conditioning coach at the shop, and he's been killing it and putting out the word of the shop and them, which is one of the many reasons why we're talking today. So I believe he talked to Jordan, one of your people, and that's another stud coming from the East Coast, filling up this Southwest Coast.
Yep.
And then he introduced me to you. He brought you over, and then you guys, came in for a treat, and certainly an experience. I think, like when people come here, like I want them to think they're going to Meow Wolf. You know what I'm saying? So like Santa Fe gonna get mad at me. Like, wait a minute, what's he doing? What's he doing over there?
Yeah, no, for sure. And we'll touch on that, right? So met with you, Rod, and I was like kind of on a schedule that day, like I kind of normally am.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
But I brought Jordan with me, and I was just like, I didn't know what I was gonna really walk into, because I had just seen it on Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was super impressed. And to kind of give our listeners kind of some framework. And you, Rod, too, and we've talked about this, but Santa Fe does not have a private indoor soccer facility. It doesn't even really have a public indoor soccer facility that's exclusive to soccer or futsal or arena soccer. So that's where I think our bond is, Rod, is that you're doing something that I think Santa Fe is in high, desperate need for for the entire community, kids and adults. So I definitely look up to you because you're doing something that is a huge need in Santa Fe, but you're also doing it in a really unique way, I feel like.
I mean, because if you don't do the unique, then what are you doing? You know,
Yeah.
it's like you're just a copy and paste and thatness of the nextness, you know?
Yes. So I want to touch on, like, why do you call it the shop? Because I haven't heard of a soccer place called the shop. When you're thinking about going to the shop, you're thinking about maybe like some kind of mechanic store or car store. And again, that's a huge compliment because look at our name, the Santa Fe Gloom. People who don't know, right? They're like, well, what is gloom or why is that? And it has a double meaning, right? So it's Old Man Gloom, it's a Zobra, it's 100 years of tradition in Santa Fe. So I know that you've got something going with the shop.
Yeah. So first of all, Red Bull, our paid sponsor. They're not paid sponsors. The world, they're not. I came to drink. I just, you know what I was doing? I was practicing for future when we become famous. You know what I mean?
There you go.
And then Red Bull was like, yo, I can mess with those guys. You know? So anyways.
Sparkling water.
Who was your fake sponsor right there? What are you drinking?
Well, this isn't our paid sponsor. It's just sparkling water. Our paid sponsors are up on top, and I'll thank them.
Oh, no, yeah, we're going to do those guys.
Yeah.
But the one you're drinking right there, when I said fake sponsor, it's like, because they're not, right? That's what was in your fridge. But one day it's going to be like that.
Absolutely.
And we're going to have a space and banners with those people up here on your trim, Mercedes
Absolutely.
and Sam's, and you'll do that, right? That's your job.
Yep.
Because I want it's be a nice, a big platform, but not to go into a tangent. Back to the meeting,
the
shop. So I have property in the West Coast, and when I got back from a deployment, I was overseas. People found out I was back 2017, and everybody's bugging me about training them. So I did, and I turned my horse stables that we used to have. I've been around the horses all my life. Not to say I know a lot about them necessarily, but I've always been on farms and ranches. But I've met my wife. She grew up with that type of life, with the horses, and we had horses in our backyard. So we got rid of the stables, we got rid of the horses, and we turned the warehouse, or what we call the shop in the back, into a gym. So I was training folk, and it exploded from there. It led from training folk into mentoring people, into offering free space for service. That means soccer. Vendors would come and sell, what have you. We would have health clinics. We did powerlifting competitions when I used to do that kind of stuff, and it just kept blowing up. We grew out of it, spent 2 years trying to find facility, which we had a couple.
And this was here in Albuquerque, right, Rod?
This was in Tacoma, Washington, and in the West Coast.
Got it.
And I'm sorry, yes, it was not here. And then we moved here 2 years ago. I started working for the base, the military government stuff. And my wife tells me, why don't you start looking here? And I said, sure. 2 weeks, boom, we land this building that we're at in the heart of the city by Top Golf. And we're here now, and we'll go into the details. So I gave you the first part of the answer, the shop, because I had a shop in my backyard, and that's where I trained. Then the second reason and final
that's important
reason,
to you, right? I would assume, because it kind of touches your heart, it touches your DNA of what the culture you want at the shop in Albuquerque. Well, that's my assumption.
No, and you said it, and I'll tell you two things about that. To resonate with the people, right? So people have called when I used to train them in my backyard. And by the way, it's a nice property. So, and when I tell you what they used to call, it's not like it was some ghetto setup and, help me clean my yard. And then the people are like, hold on, I thought I came to work out, not to clean this dude's yard. You know what I'm saying? So, no, it was a formidable place. And I had athletes training there eventually, 3 acres. We had in-ground pool. So I was teaching people that kind of stuff. Powerlifting, they called it also a knuckle dragging facility. That means you get there to put the work, and then we stimulate the primal instinct in people. We turn them into animals again, but with structure. So it's a disciplined animal, respected animal with values and morals. And then we get to Albuquerque, and the people are like that here. People here in New Mexico, not just Albuquerque, right? Berkey or Burqueño, depending on where you're at. Yeah, people don't play over here, but I appreciate this place. In fact, people like to work on a lot of different things here, with particular their cars. That's why it's called the shop, because it's synonymous with fixing. It's synonymous with
Cool.
how do we fill deficiencies and gap analysis. What's wrong with you? That's what we do here. We support, and we're mechanics. If you don't want to call me a trainer, then call me a mechanic. If you don't want to call me a trainer mechanic, call me a shepherd, because that's what we're doing. There's just God's work, So this place is essentially becoming a church,
Got it.
a placeholder for community development, for community. So, and we'll get into the details of what we do. I don't want to jump the gun, but that's why it's called the shop. And then the craziest part, and then give you back the baton, because I talk, but I try to stay in context, right? I hope I haven't taken everybody into freaking Pandora's box and look at this door, and I go into tangents.
Not yet.
Okay, good.
I'll keep you balanced, Rod.
Bro, thank you. Can you tell my wife that when we're done with this,
No.
bro?
No,
she ain't gonna believe me. So
That
he
ain't
wasn't squirrely.
Yeah.
So, what I was trying to say was, I've not only blended in with this place.
With Albuquerque?
Yeah, they think I'm from here.
I can see that.
I tell them I'm from New York, from Queens and Colombian and all that jazz. And and you know how I found out? I was at my office, government stuff, and I was talking to two colleagues, and Emerald was her name. And I forget the other gentleman's name, but Emerald says, "Oh, you're not from around here?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm from New York. I'm from the East Coast." I'm like, "I thought you were from Berkeley, like from Albuquerque." I'm like, "Why? What's up?" I was like, "You look kind of rough." I'm like, "Damn, what the hell just happened?" Like it was like the best backhanded slap compliment that I've heard in a long time, bro. Like, you look like one of us because you look rough. I'm like, I don't get that, but okay, I appreciate it. But you know what it is? It goes back to what I said about the people here. Like, people roll up their sleeves, they put the work in. You see the steel toes everywhere.
Yeah.
You see the parents with the kids, with the babes, with the soccer. Hey, pass the ball. I ain't paying $1,000 or whatever, because these clubs get expensive.
Yep.
And then I coach in the South Valley or in the Alameda, and that's a different price. And then those kids are good. So, like New Mexico, man, like, yo, this is kind of wild. I'm not gonna lie, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming, and people here need to stop taking for granted this place, because what New Mexico has is on another level. Let me tell you.
How did soccer come into your life? Because, and again, kind of give the framework of the shop.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a the way that I kind of would see it is it's a soccer facility. You got turf, you've got goals, but you also have a fitness element to it, and also potentially an outdoor futsal element. So tell our audience kind of your vision, and when you were thinking about this.
Man, I've thought about this for over 30 years, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in my mid 40s now, and it's like, when you're in the crap, in the shit burrito, you think about everything but what you're tasting. That means, how they say, you add a little bit of salt and pepper to it, just to give it flavor.
Mm-hmm.
So you create these fantasies, these images that are, whether dreams when you're sleeping or day walking and daydreaming. So you create fantasies because what you're in at the moment is not happy. It's not nice. It's not whatever. It's not healthy, right? We call that. And, what was that child's childhood like, the formative years, right?
Yeah.
And it was pretty messed up. And I don't like to talk about that so much, but like, I don't mind talking about it. When I say I don't, is because I don't like to disrespect my mom, because she did what she could, but it was messed up, bro, back in the day. So you create these fantasies at 11, then at 21, then at 31, then at 41, and then you're on these different levels, and they start to conceptualize small business, freelancer, from small to big business, which is what we're doing now. So I'm like Willy Wonka, bro. I'm just over here creating this big circus of a shelter for people, wellness center, because that's what it is really. It's not just soccer. Like there's a gym, there's workshops that we're going to do in the business incubator, talk about, postpartum depression, talk about PTSD, not just military stuff, because I used to do that stuff too. But like I was just saying, in my childhood, I already had PTSD by the time I got to the Army. Talk about that stuff. Talk about do STEAM workshops here. So science, technology, engineering, art, and math. Do art galleries. We're going to do el taller markets every Sunday. Tomorrow, every Sunday, all day, the kids play for $5 all day. And then at 6 day, we're going to do a carne asada. So we call it futsada.
Creative.
Eventually, thank you. Eventually, you should have like a little bell, bro. Like every time like somebody's creative, go ring, ring, ring. You know what I'm saying? So people are just going to hang out. So if they don't want to call it the shop, call it the hangout. Where are you going to be? At the shop. That's another reason it's called the shop, because this is it's synonymous with I'm going to be there. Because I got to get my car fixed. I got to get my hair did. I got to go do my lines on the lowrider. I got to go get with Rob Vanderslice. That guy's going to be in this area too, because I've worked with Adesha, his daughter, and they're OGs in the community. Those are other people, So once in a while, I'll drop names like that. I do my little shameless plugs for people, but it's more just, thanking them, appreciating them. Because when people get like that here, like yourself, giving me, allow me to share the platform with you, it's flattering. And then in closing, what the shop has to offer, group classes. So personalized group classes, people come, they get trained 3 days a week, and they learn about everything. From powerlifting to bodybuilding to cardiovascular to obstacle course racing challenges, to turning people from going from size whatever down to this size to an athlete to it's a new lifestyle. So that's kind of my paradigm. They come in to lose weight, what have you, the general consensus, into now they're playing in a league, one of my leagues, somebody else's league. At Kramer International, I don't care. They're competitors. I talk to them because they exist. I have to respect them. So you want to play there, but at the end of the day, then they know where the G's at. The G's here. This is where it's goody.
How did you execute your plans? So you had these ideas, right? Everyone's got ideas. I've got ideas, but there's very few people who are able to actually get a business up and running. Tell our audience, how you really executed, because I think there's so many people who have those pipeline dreams, right? Just like everyone else, but there's only so many rods and there's only so many shops in Albuquerque.
Man, that's a good question.
And this isn't really like a business question. This is more of a mindset question.
Word.
Yeah,
no doubt. And that's the answer I was going to give you, right?
Yeah.
Because people know their numbers, people know their MBAs, their PhDs, and whatever.
Yes. Yeah, you can learn that, right? You can learn that.
I want to know, to your point, like, but tell me, like I got popcorn. I'm ready to listen. You know what I'm saying? I got the kettle corn, not just the regular corn, but I got the kettle one. That's the best one. Have you ate that? Amazing.
Yeah.
It's better than, so the first answer is better than the alternative, bro. That means what I was telling you, my life has been tough. So
okay.
I've been trying to get out of get out of the crap sandwich for a long time. So I'm not a kind of person that gets stuck in mud. I don't do that. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I don't do that. And if I'm sinking under it, people are like, oh, we lost them, right? I let them know that they lost me, but really I just went under the mud. I dug a trench and I dug a hole out of myself and I left. You know what I'm saying? And then they see me 20 years later like, oh shit, he's still alive. Crazy. Then the other answer is my mom. And I love her to death. And we have our situations, but like she didn't raise no little, bitch, how they would say. I mean, I remember I used to tug at her like shirt, hey mom, and she'd call me like interesting words, that are not PG-13. Mm-hmm. And she's like, what do you want? And I'm like, I want to eat. And she told me, use the microwave. Got it. I'm 5. I thought I could ask you for food, woman. So you learn to be resilient, because if I don't use the microwave, I'm screwed. If I don't know how to use the oven for heat in the house, I freeze, because I would tell her it's cold in here. She says, put another jacket on. I'm like, I have 5 on already.
Then exercise.
Bro, listen, that's why I'm telling you, that's why when I got to the military, I'm like, wait, I get paid to do this?
Yeah. It's the same thing.
I get room and board for this. And somebody yelling at me and I get anxiety for that, give me a break. That means this person cares about me.
Yeah.
See, that's next level psychology, right? That's 500 level. And I hope you're on his nose. They were gonna go beyond 300 level psychology, right? Because I used to do those classes. I got my MBA and it didn't really do shit for me, except break the conversation at some corny conversation at some dinner I don't even want to be at.
Yeah.
But I could do those conversations.
Understood.
But I'm just trying to answer your question to say, I work for the government. It's like, I respect and I appreciate the government because I was also in the Army and it helped me 20 years ago. And it's giving me structure, and it's actually taught me more business than my MBA taught me business. The government did, because I understood about functional areas and whatnot. But I'm tired of it. 20 plus years. I'm like, forget about it. Like, that's why I said I got to do this. Then another easy answer for people is, the shop is a culmination of small victories or events. I train you.
Love it. I've
done a party at my house and charged. Women were free until midnight, but everybody else was 20 ahead. And if they came after, they got to pay. They got to pay. If it's 12:01, honey, you got to pay. Honey money. Listen, you learn to respect yourself. Then you fail because of bad relationship with money, then you don't do that again. And then you do freelance work, a subcontractor work, a collaboration work, a volunteer work. You learn about 1099s, you learn about W-2s on a small scale. So I've always exposed myself to the field. That's another reason I don't want to say I've won or I'm winning, but like, I get things done. This one guy, Rosendo, said from State Farm, he's an agent. He's got his own facility. He's like, bro, this place, every time I come, is different. Everything you say you're going to do. So you know what I told his son? And then I'll shut up. I know you need the stick back, but like the mic, he was like, no, I said to him, your son, Sebastian, he's like 11. And he gets trained by Mark Micaletto here at the shop. True story. I don't say nothing. I don't say no lies because you catch me by 5. Check it. So Rosendo tells me, bro, yeah, he's doing great. He loves the place. And the kid tells me, I love this place, because I try to go like that with him, right? Chacky. But he's like, but he gives me a hug. I'm like, you better come in here because you created a church for me, right? A fun church, right? So I tell everybody, my wife and my sister-in-law was there. I'm like, this was this morning. True story. About 3 hours ago, in fact, because there was a league this morning. And this kid, he goes to a Barcelona Academy that's in Arizona. And I told everybody, this kid's going to be famous. This is going to be famous. So watch out for him. So I manifest things because God's shown me a lot of things, but I don't want to start going down that spiritual road with people right now because they think I'm too crazy. But it's the truth. And this kid's gonna be famous. And his dad is a State Farm agent with an office, and he's gonna supporting a lot of efforts. Kind of like what we're doing here. Mm-hmm. But the point is that before I lose my thought, these babies appreciate what we're trying to do, and it's easy. When you build anything around a kid, I say this all the time: if you want to know which way to go, follow a kid or a dog. They'll steer you in the right way. Because they're unapologetically honest. There's no agenda.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to touch on a couple points, but I have one question. When people are walking in, or potential customers are walking into the shop, what do you want them to feel like?
like Meow Wolf. I wasn't playing, bro. I think I'm gonna hurt Meow Wolf's pockets, bro. Like when people go to Meow Wolf, they're, oh my god, I can't wait to see art, and that's what they do.
You've been to Meow Wolf in Santa Fe?
I need to go. No, I need to go because my daughter, she be telling me, she's like,
oh, yeah.
Dad, yo, listen, I need to go. We tried.
It's across the street from where I live.
We tried a couple times, and we didn't do the schedule right and stuff. So we have tried, but we just need to do nothing.
Yeah.
And try a couple times for a week. and we'll get it right. We'll figure it out. But we need to go. But the point is, people go there with an expectation of their eyeballs going big and their pupils dilating and their skin, getting goosebumps and like kind of an overwhelming feeling, right? To say, this is refreshing art and it's abstract. And then, what I'm saying? It really opens up our minds. It stimulates us, right? It helps us think differently, think better. Yeah. And that's what the shop is. When they come in, it's an experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. When I was there as a kid, or when I went to your shop, Rod, if I was still a kid, I would have been at your shop all the time. I would have lived there.
But listen to what you just said. So, and I'll steal the frequency for like 20 seconds. I promise, only 20.
Go for it.
The goal is to feel like a kid. You said it perfect, though. You shouldn't have changed it. When I was there as a kid, I'm like, yes, you were. Of course you were.
Yeah, fair enough.
You were. You were in our conference room. That's where I'm at right now. You know what I mean? And we were talking like we were homies from back in the day. And then kids, I still got 5 seconds. I want to do a commercial like that with the dad and son walk in, but they leave kid in kid.
Yeah.
And the dad is wearing, like the kid is wearing his dad's clothes, like he shrunk.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something that has been real close to me with the Gloom is, and also just for our entire community is, as you know, Rod, our games are totally free for the entire community, kid or adult. Because I think it trickles down, like even if you're an adult, probably have kids. If that $10 comes to the Gloom, it may not come to the kid, right? So I want everybody to experience the Gloom. And to be honest, that was one thing that, I kind of underestimated or just kind of overlooked was like that kid element. But now I'm learning a lot more. My mom's a kindergarten teacher. She kept telling me, focus on kids, focus on kids. And that's really paid a lot of dividends now that I'm learning about it, because as a kid going to Santa Fe High School, that was like the biggest deal. Going to a high school, going to Capital, where my brother played high school soccer. Like those are the highlights of my life, and watching my older brother play soccer as a kid, like that's all of it. So that's your platform that you're allowing your community in Albuquerque to have. That's what we want to also have in Santa Fe Gloom, is when you're walking into a Santa Fe Gloom game, you are experiencing all the cool cultural things, all the cool vibes, right? All that backyard, all that street, all that shop type of vibe and feel that like you're at home. Like this is a place where you can celebrate with friends and family. So I think that's why the Gloom and the shop have such a good vibe, because we share that same vision. And again, that's why I think we get along. We're like-minded. And then we challenge each other, and we'll definitely challenge each other in the future. And I know that you're one of my role models in being that I want a shop to be here in Santa Fe for sure, or something like it, because again, we're missing that. And then those kids, like you just mentioned, they don't get that experience. I didn't really necessarily get that experience either, because we didn't have like a soccer designated place, but I may have found that in like a different sport, like in basketball, like at the Chavez Center, when that opens. My best friend, Eric Moulton, he lived across the street from there, and we were hooked. We were at the Chavez Center because it had a gym, it had a pool, has an ice rink, it has basketball courts. We were there all day because we could do it all. We'd play basketball in the morning, we'd lift, go up and down that elevator, run the track. We had it all, and that's very similar to your vision.
Oh yeah, bro. Listen, I'm gonna have the tamales lady in the corner too. You know what I mean? I'm going to put street signs around here. They're going to feel like they're in Mexico and Colombia.
Yes. So that's exactly it. And that's one thing that we're also looking at our Gloom games, is to create that vibe of food. Hispanic culture, man, we're all about parties. We're all about food. And that's one thing that I want to elevate our Gloom community when they're walking into a Gloom game, just like you, right, at the shop. they're seeing those cultures, they're smelling it, right? And that's what makes us different than other venues or other possibilities for people.
No, and the thing is,
Touching that culture, which is huge.
well, and a homie of mine from Texas, he put it in perspective, specific to context.
Mm-hmm.
So that means his perspective about coincidence and serendipity. And then he contextualized it. And he said the difference between coincidence and serendipity is this. He didn't say it this good. I said it this good. But he helped me with the theory, right?
Yeah.
And we had this bromance about why we do what we do. That means we go to work, we run into a homie, have a beer to 10, whatever that looks like that night. I try to cap at 3, FYI. So, like, just saying that if it's ever more than 4 or 5, you force me. I'm just saying. I said 3. I'm just telling you, in the world, I do 3. If you do more than that, that's your fault. So if I get in trouble with my lady, it's not my fault. It's your fault. Just saying. I had to throw that out there. Anyways, but you flow with it. And it's serendipity, man. So that means coincidence is an event without a story. Serendipity, it was meant to be. It's faith. It's God intervention. So, to your point of all these collaborative efforts, from the babies to the adults, or excuse me, apologies, from the babies to the to the adolescent, because that's a huge neglect, not just in New Mexico, but around the world. Between 11 and 17, I've been saying it, and it's a gap. And I'm going to fill that gap because I'm a shop, right? I'm going to send a mechanic to that gap analysis. Hey, come up with something. Make it happen, right? Fill that space, because teenagers need that, right? Then there's the young people like the Jordans, right, that play for you and all that jazz, right? Yep. And then there's a freelance for the runners, because Jordan is helping those guys out too. Yep. So it's like, like this, right? And then guess who's going to be here next week? It's Froilan's wife, Tiana. She's going to start a yoga class on Mondays from 6 p.m. because this place to shop is also a venue. And I haven't talked about that. That is just a mini Madison Square Garden, because I've been saying it for a while. And Albuquerque is going to be an extension or a mini New York one day. If you sleep on it, I'll take over.
I like it. So, a question for you. When I asked, and this was my business mind, okay, and you had a totally, completely different answer, and I want you to explain your answer to our audience. And I don't know if I phrased it in this way, but you came back at me, and I appreciated it. I said something to the effect of like, who's your target audience? Right? Remember that? And then you just rolled on it. So when you hear someone say, hey, who's your target audience at the shop? Who are you going for? Like, if you were to put your business cap on, those people would ask that. But your answer is what?
Well, I'm going to give you the answer I gave you, then I'm going to give you another answer I just gave you.
Okay. And so I can, okay, go for it.
So the answer I gave you was a human.
Yes.
Because I don't do this and I don't do that. I do this.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I said I don't do this, but I meant like you're this, right? And then somebody else is this. I do my this.
Yeah, got it.
So,
and I have another question after you give me your answer.
Easy, no problem. So I'll give you an example of what I'm saying from a business perspective: business rules, marketing, business case analysis, market research, all those fancy dancy terms and all that. Yeah. So if you build a car dealership, and they want to put them right next to the next. Why? Because if you don't get the Honda, you go to across the street and you get a Range Rover, whatever that looks like, right? And that's fair. Clearly, it works, right? It's been around for 100 years, but does it? So that's why my logo is a triangle, because I ain't no square. You know how they say that? Don't be a square. I don't do a square, right? I'm a triangle. You know what I'm saying? And that's another story, right? And we'll get to that whenever you ask, or for a part 2 of this.
Okay.
But I could tell you my target audience is an athlete. It's a soccer player, right? It's a mom that lost a child, you know, or has child and they have a tough time, so they get postpartum depression, right? What about men? You know,
Yeah.
I'd have a 25-year-old today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I had a miscarriage back in the day. So that's why my babies are babies. Because until my late 30s, I said, forget about it. Let's do it. You know? So I'm like, boom, we have the babies. The next thing happens, and now we're here today. But that was just a side story to say, how could I say, I'm gonna shock you. How can I say this is just for a soccer player when I have so much space? If I have so much space, I got to do something with all this space because it's pretty big, right? You've been here.
Yeah.
It's 20,000 with the parking lot in the back, with the surrounding area that's industrial. We got about 20,000 square feet of space. So I'd be greedy if I said it's only a soccer player. What about the kids in the streets, methed up and they got a shoe up and a shoe underfoot? Because I've seen it, and a cell phone on the hand, right around the block. Well, you good? And I would check on him. Yeah, I'm waiting for my dad. Of course he wasn't waiting for his dad. His pupils were dilated. The kid, it was cold. Like, what are you doing? So I like to create a space where he could come in. I could give him a cup of coffee, right? And if he's only 12, I'll be like, get used to it. Coffee's the best anyway. You're going to be all right. But he's okay because he's in warmth now, right? So it can't be just a soccer player. There's got to be also a place where I can feed homeless sometimes, and we figure that out. There's got to be a space where I also want to offer PE, physical education time for homeschool kids. That means they come during the day and they do gymnasium here. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I might even dress up like my favorite teacher from 5th grade, Mr. Siegel, with glasses. He was bald, had a big belly. I'll dress like him for gym. Listen, just because like you said about your mom kindergarten. I remember my kindergarten teacher, Miss Torres, in New York, Queens, New York, Jackson Heights. My word. Christopher McCollin High School, intermediate school, 1985. I still remember. She was good people. And we're trying to create that here. You know what I'm saying? So I probably just did do my first tangent, didn't I? Shit, I did. On my second. Okay. It's all good. And I appreciate you doing another deal.
It was a good answer though. Yeah, it's a good answer. So my follow-up, which I'm sure you've thought of as well, is the shop, and I don't want to limit what you have, right? But I'm curious to see the answer to this. Is the shop can't be something for everyone, or can it be, right? Because you only also have so much space and so much time, because it can't, or can it be a place for gymnasts, or it certainly can't be a shop for cars, I don't think, right? So there still needs to be some type of angle that you're still playing and bringing in the people that you want to bring in to also drive revenue and profit, right?
I think if anyone that can appreciate movement is who I'm sponsoring, hosting, supporting. So that means, you know what I mean? So you're a bodybuilder, you're a power lifter, you're a weightlifter, you're a dancer, you're a gymnast, you know what I mean? You like to dance, because we're going to do the dance classes here too. You know what I'm saying? I had to do that with Spanish because it just sounds different. You know what I mean? But so movement, if you can appreciate movement, then this is the place for you. But even, it's funny you said about the shop, the car stuff, because I told you about the lowrider people that are going to post up.
I stand corrected, Rob. Shit.
You see what I'm saying? Number two. So you want to throw two at me? I'm going to throw two at you, too.
Keep going.
Check it out.
Going.
Check it out, boo. Listen, car detailing. I've talked to people set up in the back. That means you post up in your whip, woo, get out, you go work out. You also drop off your dog, because we're going to have a dog park, too. I'm serious as a heart attack. If you remember that, then if you don't, I reminded you.
Yeah.
And then you go do your thing. You come out, have a beer on the way out, because it's going to be a Connex with a kegerator in the back. That's a true story too. And then you're going to get in your car and you're going to spin out, because that's how they say it here, right? You're spinning.
Yeah.
Ooh, you roll out.
I stand corrected. Good answer. Good vision.
I'm sorry to do that to you, but you did that, and I had an answer.
Absolutely.
And then the other answer, you know what? If when the creeper crawler aliens start coming out into existence, just like whatever in plain sight, he or she is invited to, or it, whatever we do, you know what I mean? But I think that's the reality of anything and everything is respect. As long as you understand respect, you could blend in any space. You feel me?
Yeah.
Rose can't walk into a mud Everglades, oversaturated with moisture, et cetera, all that jazz, and survive. It ain't gonna happen, Rose. You gotta go, sugar.
Yeah. Understood.
Just respect the space. And that's all I ever ask of people with this.
Yeah.
Because I have many other ideas that you don't even know about with this place. But I'm just scaling to my capability / my capacity and what God has blessed me to do with what I have thus far.
And I'm just going to say it, early business struggles, just even internally with yourself on what direction to go. Share with the audience that, because building a business, especially from scratch, and building a business, quite honestly, that's not a franchise, right? And that really hasn't been done that I know in Albuquerque or Santa Fe, or maybe anywhere else, with your type of vision and bringing different groups in.
Yeah.
Just talk to our audience and some of those ongoing struggles, or just some of those hoops that you're like, oh, that didn't work out the way I thought it was going to work out, or how you kind of rigged it. You went around it and it actually kind of did work. Just give me one or two, because I know there's a lot.
I know.
Yeah, there's plenty.
You know what?
This isn't so much a business question. This is more of a internal, even just being new to.
No. I think that so when people talk to me, I like to be literal, direct, transitional. That means I'm giving you something that you're going to truly use, right?
Yeah. Cool.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's like you ask, hey man, how do I get into low riders, or how do I learn how to crop a top or half shelf in the back, or white wheel wheels, gangster strip tires, and then they say, well, you got to go to a junkyard and get a car, and then you're like, well, what the hell does that mean? Mm-hmm. Which junkyard? How much should I spend, right? Mm-hmm. So sometimes people speak too metaphorically, but I guess what he or she's telling that person, the kid, let's say, right? And they're talking to this OG about advice about, buying an old car and, beautifying it. Mm-hmm. They're just trying to tell you, like, find a bucket. Don't spend a lot of money. Start with the fender, buff, whatever that looks. Mm-hmm. And I said this already earlier, you build up, you scale. Mm-hmm. So the first answer is you got to be willing to fail. You got to fail. You got to be willing to fail. And you better not ask if it's hard, because you better not even do it. You better not take another step, not even sideways or backwards, because you don't go backwards. You just go forward. You don't go backwards, you zig and then you zag. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's going to be hard. Be ready to fail. Number 3, slow pace wins the race. Man, that's a big one.
Do you think you're going at a slow pace in terms of like your vision and things that you're bringing in?
Yeah, bro. You want to know why?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be doing philanthropy work where I'm dropping these in Africa, bro.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is going worldwide.
Yeah, that's great.
You see how I rhyme? And when I rhyme, it's time. Prime time. That's what I want from ESPN. Sorry. Thank you, ESPN. And then I got prime time.
Yeah, I don't know who that was who says that.
I can't remember. I know. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So these people that influence our lives, right? So they've influenced me. Mm-hmm. And again, the shop is just like, it's like a reel of my life, really.
Cool.
You know what I mean? But going back to your question and answers, like Q&A, like, so I said, you got to be ready. You got to accept that's going to be hard, and that you're going to fail. Then I talked about, help me with the third one. This is so important. It was on the tip of my tongue, and I wish you had written it, because it's good. It's probably one of the best pieces of advice I'll ever give. But we'll remember. I'll remember it.
Okay.
Another one, people that believe in you. People have to believe in you, because it's a tough world, and you want to give up every day. And I've wanted to give up. You got to be willing to die for it. Depending on how big it is, if the bigger it is, the harder you're going to want to die for it. It's like they say when they put your face in water and then you come up,
Yeah.
You gotta want it that bad.
Yeah.
You gotta want
That's
it
a good video.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta want it bad. You gotta want it that bad. You know, I've had a long 2 years where I've had panic attacks at my office and stuff. And it's crazy because I've been shot at, stabbed, and you know, a lot of crazy stuff has happened to me. But it took an office environment to give me a panic attack like that. You gotta be kidding me.
Why do you think that is?
Well, because we're suppressed. So anxiety leading into panic attacks. So in other words, we're mad, we're stressed, we have panic attack, we have heart attacks. That's a culmination, that's an evolution of dying, right? And it's
Do
all
you feel
because
like it's slower? Like it's a slower progression?
No. It's well, in my opinion, it could be that,
Yeah.
but it's but again, it wasn't that for me because, like I said earlier, slow pace was the race. I remember number 3, holla at your boy. Anyways,
Cheers.
so yeah, I know, right?
Cheers.
Here's to our fake sponsors.
Yeah.
So check it out, bro.
I got another follow-up, but keep going.
Done.
And I got a good one.
So I'm trying to give specific advice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of it has to deal with personality, evolution of our personalities through maturation, right? But now I'm going to give you, and I'm going to steal one of my 5, another one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you 3 answers. So the first answer was it was 5. The second answer is going to be in 3.
Okay.
And you got to have a dreamer, you got to have a motivator, and you got to have a believer. So that means I'm a dreamer. There's people that have motivated me. And then there's that believer, and that was the cat that gave you the money. And that's going to be my last answer, which is the one that people want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear part 1 with 5 in it or part 2 with 3 in it, Rod. Just give me the down and gritty and the dirty. Yeah, you got to have some money, in my opinion, especially depending on how big it is. But hear me out with that because it depends on the scale of the project, right? And what I'm doing is big. Because I could have stayed in my backyard in Tacoma, Washington, south of Seattle. I could keep working for the government, keep doing well. I do well, but I don't care for that anymore. So it's not about the money. You know what I mean? But when you start getting all these different ideas that come to you through dream, through spirituality, the vision gets bigger. And one thing that is a fact for me, I don't like to feel congested or capped. That's the thing about me.
Same.
So for me to have built what I want to build, I've needed people with money. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's a loan and I had to pay it back.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because the only person I owe money to right now is my mom. That's right, world. I owe my mom money. Whatever. Right? But everybody else is paid. So what?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, but she's going to get her money this year. Facts. Anyways, see, it's crazy relationship about my mom, right? Started out kind of rough, and I'm telling you this other stuff. So you need person with money. You need people that are intelligent to give you guidance.
Mm-hmm.
That means not necessarily a person with money, but that knows about money. A person that's failed, they got to give you counsel.
How do you know who to pick for that intelligence or that counsel?
Who referenced? That means the person to the person to the person, right? What's the network?
Yeah, and I kind of call that, like, for lack of better word, street smarts. You got to know who you're dealing with, right? And then you have to have enough experience to say, okay, you're my guy. Let's do the deal type of thing.
Yeah, but like, I think I've always been, had a pretty decent wit about being street smart. But
because you could potentially get used, and not you, but I'm saying like the business
I'm tracking.
or the visionary or the entrepreneur could potentially get used.
You know what though?
Go for it. And the reason I say that is because, especially, and I'll just say it, like, unfortunately, people of minorities, we're not graduating college and huge successes, right? And huge percentages. However, we do have other certain skill sets, right? And we can be taken advantage of in certain ways. So again, my question to you is, well, how do you know who to trust in a business deal?
Yeah,
Right.
but so like,
Because it's all drawn up on language that we're usually not equipped with, such as attorney language, paperwork, right? So out and about, we can do what we need to do outside, but when it comes to, I'm just gonna pull random stuff from my desk. A business deal, sometimes these are really hard for people like us to read and to go through if you don't have that experience and that guidance. And then you go and ask somebody, how do you read this? And they can misguide you. That's what,
so that's what I was going to say.
That's kind of where I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, well,
you're saying, hey, you've got to, resonate with those types of people for that funding or whatever.
And that's why I was saying I wasn't taking too much credit about, my prowess with street smart versus book smart and what I call intelligence versus smart. Mm-hmm. That's how I separate the two. Intelligence is you read something, you memorize, you probably have a good photographic memory, you're intelligent. Your IQ is 130 and above, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Smart is you know how to pivot. Smart is you adapt. You're a chameleon, right? Like they used to tell us, back in my army days, and Sergeant Vasquez, blah 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 blah, and I'm like METC Sergeant. So METC is a long acronym for infantry people, that basically how you adapt to the environment. What are you gonna do if sad situation happens? METC. That's been my life. METC. I think it's METCC, right? Anyways, so the real answer is, how do I distinguish the people? I gave one answer already. Who's their network? Who referred me? Yeah. Another answer is I've learned to shut up. You know what I'm saying? Kind of goes back to the whole slow pace wins the race. We talked about that. And when you do that, you see the whole picture. Because I move too fast. I've always moved too fast, bro. I've walked out with the hat like this. I've walked out with the hat like that. And it just kept turning until it was just like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I just took my time. And like I tell people, if you think you got time, you don't got time. Don't do it. You're going to be late.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like at 2:00, you have an appointment, but I'm going to stop at the post office on my way there. Yeah. Don't do it.
That's right.
Don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you think that's your intuition telling you, think about it. You see how it resonates and connects, bro?
Mm-hmm.
From chakra 1 down to chakra 3 or 4, whichever one the throat one is, to your gut chakra, bro. Because I know about that stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're gonna have holistic medicine at the shop too. My word. So it circles back to your answer, and at that, the last answer to that one answer 3-parter, network. And what was the second one?
My question to you.
No. I just gave you a second answer as to how I discern people, and I accredit them or I assess them. How do I separate one from the next? I gave you a second answer. The first one was their network, and the second one was
It's a good thing that we're sponsored by Age Friendly Senior Care, because both of us have memory loss. So shout out to Age Friendly. Good job, guys. Keep our seniors young.
No, so because I was talking about intelligence and smart, and it was slow pace was the race. It was going slow.
We keep forgetting that one.
Right. That's true, because we want to keep moving fast.
See,
you're paying attention.
Yeah.
The last answer is I expose people to my people.
What does that mean?
So if I got if I meet a Tim, and Tim was referred by Aaron, and I say I need said person for such reason, and Aaron sends me to Tim. I have a good time with Tim. We have a couple of drinks or whatever that looks like that night, that day. Even I do the morning drinking too. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, David, and you're like, "What's good, bro?" I'm like, "Yo, let's link up. I'll go up to Santa Fe. I have a guy named Tim. He's gonna be there too." You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
you're gonna help me. You help me. People help me as well.
Yeah, you're sharing resources.
No, it's not about sharing at that point. At that point, it's about you helping me evaluate this person.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Got it. Okay.
You know what I mean? Because you're a business person.
Got it.
you're a businessman, but you're also a business person.
Mm-hmm.
It's different.
Yeah.
Because you're at the shop, we're sponsoring and hosting and pushing a lot of women's soccer here too, from babies all the way through women.
It's great.
You know what I mean? So circling back to this, I have women assess something, then sometimes a man, then sometimes an infantry guy, then sometimes a doctor, and I got to bring the right person to that room.
Yeah.
So like you said, if I'm going to get swindled, you better try hard, because I'm not Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't know everything, but I'm going to say concur, and they're going to hear me at the hospital at the surgical table, because that's what that movie was about, remember?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was fake. Everything was fake about that guy.
Yeah.
But the best part about it, bro, there's nothing fake about me. That's a fact. Not even this mustache. Because I've been trying. Listen, no, you don't get it. You know how you get when you get the right shave, and you're like, hell yeah, bro, it's just the right thickness. But if you don't get it right, you're like, and you got to take the whole thing off, and then you don't look like the person you were intended to look like. So I've messed up a lot, man.
Yeah,
and it kind of goes back to my many answers on how to do this. But I try to give you some like specific, literal answers that people can use. And again, I talked about money. I talked about having people to assess other people.
Yep.
Sit around like with people in that think tank. And by the way, we're also going to be offering classes here, how to go from small to business to big business. You know what I'm saying? Then we could go into the specificity of how, how to rock with the Secretary of State, because the Secretary of State is what's the name? Mussolini? What's it? Houdini?
I don't know.
It sounds like Houdini, because they didn't really do anything for me this past summer. Sorry. I said it. But I learned about it because somebody else counseled me, and I was willing to listen. Yeah. And I think the last answer is always be willing to learn, like educate yourself. Do go to college, do go to university, because it puts you in a mindset to learn.
Gives you a good network too.
You never know. You're right.
Yeah. Gives you a good network.
Amen.
You have maybe 5 more minutes? I know we're at 3:00.
No, let's go, bro. If you're asking, that means it's good. Let's keep going.
I'll give you another one. How does the shop fail? Like, if you're gonna put, God forbid, a close sign, what happened? And the reason I ask is because
what would happen to say that and the shop fails?
Yeah, that it's closed, that it's done, that it's no longer in business. The reason I ask that is because I already know you've been thinking about that, right? Just as a business person too, and to avoid those pitfalls. And I think that's really good to know in business, right? Sometimes you're looking at competitors, but I don't see too many competitors like stomping you out. I just don't see that. So it's going to happen.
Listen,
it's going to happen most likely like internally, right?
Right.
So my question, that's just curious to see if you thought of that, because I constantly think about that with my company, Age Friendly Senior Care, on like what's going to take it down.
I think that, so there's a couple of answers, right? What's going on, fellas? I think that what's up, brother? And there's people walking in.
Yeah,
Sorry.
You're good.
This is another. So this is kind of an answer for the other question as well. In the second, I'm going to give you 2 answers, and the second one is really the ultimate answer, but people don't want to hear that because they were like, I know that, but
okay,
I'll get to that answer. But I'm going to say it anyways. Even people don't want to hear, but they need to hear it. But the first answer is I have to stay focused. So I'm a very squirrely guy. So when I do like specific, I'm reading a document, I'm scrubbing it, I'm controlling effing, right? And you're looking for keywords, and there's everything crossed and dotted. I need music. So I that's why when I play a sport or I do anything, I'm very hyper focused. And that's why I get things done. Because when I say I'm going to do something, I do it, because now I can't help it, right? So the first answer is stay focused. You have to stay focused. That's facts. And again, and you hear that, but I try to give it and deliver it to people in a way that you're going to like, oh, I like this answer, right? Because we always hear it, right? From an Olympian, from whatever, you got to focus, man. You got to do your prayers and your vitamins, be tough, right? What Hulk Hogan used to tell us, right? you know.
But it's true.
You know, it's easy to get distracted. If you're trying to stay in shape, then you need to leave the bar by 8. I'm not saying don't go, but leave, because you got to sleep, because you got to wake up, because you got to do whatever routine. You know what I mean? Even if it's academia, right? Don't wait until Sunday, because that's what we all did. The book report, Sunday night. And then we walking in school on Monday. We were all tired. And then the teacher's like, what happened, sugar? Late call? Come on, man. Why you burning the candle at the end of both, on both ends, right? The second answer is having faith. You know, I'm a man of God. And a lot of the stuff that I've been doing lately, and my wife was there, and I told somebody else. And she's the lady of one of the United players, and she knows who she is. And I said, believe it or not, I'm being super vulnerable. And I looked at her and I told her my wife was right there. But a lot of this has been on not just on good faith, but God faith.
Yeah.
You know, not just specific to Christ faith, but overall God faith. Because there's decisions that from a business rules perspective of what they've taught us or what David may have counseled me, or Brian Ross is another homie of mine that does money stuff and is a good, you know, therapist from make this decision or whatever decision. So that 1 + 1 is 2.
Yep.
Not 1 times is 1. What just happened? Yep. I thought we were plussing up, baby. We'll multiply. We'll get there. But we're not multiplying 1 times 1. We're multiplying 3 times 3, which is 9. 9 times 9, which is 81. You feel me? Mm-hmm. And now we just keep multiplying over here. Mm-hmm. And it's because of God, man. Like what I'm doing here is a church. It's just another platform for me to preach the word of God, the word of the people, or have other people preach it. It could be you coming in here. Maybe you're doing an episode at the shop, Santa Fe Gloom at the shop, and it's a live audience, and every people are coming because we're going to do that too, people.
That's right. Or we bring you to a Santa Fe Gloom game, and we do a podcast, and we chop it up just like this.
Listen, let's do. You should invite me to one of their games too. I'll talk shit the whole time.
Oh yeah, well, you got it. Deal.
No, se lo comió. No entra gol ni con el permiso de la abuela.
I'll be right there with you.
Listen, bro, that'll be some funny stuff. That's what I tell my kids when I'm coaching them, bro. Do you know Spanish? A little bit of Spanish, a lot of Spanish?
A little bit.
So sometimes when my babies are playing, right? And I don't mean just my babies, my son and daughter, but also the kids that I coach. Mm-hmm. I call them babies through teenagers. I do that.
Yeah.
And because they'll wish one day that they stayed babies, right? Because everybody's in such a rush, right? Because we can't even remember slow pace was the race, right? And we're men, right? We're men of the community, of the people, right?
Yeah.
And I'll joke and I'll say, this is my point about the whole commentating during the game. And I would tell the kids if they miss a goal and it's right there, bro. I talk shit to them. I do. I tell them, usted no entra ni con el permiso de la abuela. That means you don't even get in there with your grandma's permission. It's right there, bro. And then you know the best part, these kids, they start talking back eventually. But when it's all said and done, they do this. Thank you, sensei. I appreciate it so much. They love it, bro. They freaking love it.
Yeah.
Because they know I'm not doing it in any malice.
Yeah.
In any situation where I want to stress them.
Yeah.
Especially the dad and the mom. Yeah. People that tell me, you train them like they're 15 because they're going to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I'm yelling, it's not because I don't like them. It's because I love them. It's because they're babies that need to hear it. Between 5 and teenagers. Yep. You got to, because they got to hear you through the noise right now. There's a lot of noise in the world.
Yeah. That's
why I yell. Not because I'm mad. You know what I mean? But that's the ultimate answer. You asked me, how do you succeed in it? I gave you a bunch of footnotes in it. But really, this is the answer. Right? Remember I told you the first answer was 5-part, the second was 3. And then you asked me, how does it fail? And I told you, stay focused. But the ultimate, it goes back to this. Because you had this question and this question. Mm-hmm. But the answer is God, man. It's God. And I'm not perfect, man. Far from it. Far from it. But I do know when I find myself in God's space, I'm in grace.
Yeah.
And the reason I didn't give you that answer earlier, because I know people are like, I don't want to hear that. I thought I just tuned in to Santa Fe Gloom, not church, at 2 p.m.
Hey, it's working. It's working for both of us. And the communities that we serve and the communities that serve us. You know, friends, family, employees, all of that. it all comes around.
We got to do this again, man. I mean, I'm already inviting myself already, but you know, I like talking to you, and the message is synonymous. And when it's synonymous, then it's more of us, right? Like Caesar said in Planet of the Apes, right? One branch,
Yeah.
weak.
Yeah.
What did he say? Was it 4 or 5? He's 5 strong.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's not wrong.
No.
It's community, bro.
Yep.
It's so easy. People keep telling you, you're so smart, right? I'm really not, bro. Listen, I go to parties, I go straight to the chips and the dip, bro. I'm so dumb. I just surround myself with people that are intelligent, that are smart. And I think the easiest message too, that I have a message, shared the message, which is love, bro. Yeah. It's always just good energy,
absolutely.
Bro. People can always resonate with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If people can't resonate with God, because I have a best friend that's atheist. I have agnostic friends. You know what I'm saying? But as long as they respect that, talk about that, and his love, it's easy, bro.
Yeah. Respect, like you mentioned earlier.
Yo, not rocket science.
All right, Rod, we do need to do this again.
Easy.
And we'll invite you out to a Gloom game.
Well, I told you, like, I was supposed to go up to you, and then when I told my wife, "Nah, we're logging in," she was like, "Ain't that something else?" Like, it was supposed to be a date, bro. It was supposed to be a date because she loves Santa Fe.
Yeah, bring her. Bring it to the Pantry Dose, one of our sponsors. They'll take care of you. Great food.
Well, I got. No, I'm not even tripping about that. You know me, bro. You know, but I'm trying to get to y'all next weekend though, the 18th.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
You got a game. I'll be there.
Dude,
what time is that?
It's at 4:30.
I know. Done. I'm there.
At halftime, we're having a baby race.
Done. Well, my wife tells me all the time I'm gonna make babies, so like, I race too and just kick their asses too, the little babies. Is that too much?
Yeah,
is that overwhelming for the crowd?
It might be too much. Technically, there's no age limit.
Oh shit, yo, listen, I'll walk out there like Tarzan, bro.
yeah, you could have the shop,
bro. Done. Listen, we're gonna do all stuff like that. Women's, or not women's, but single parent apologies. I resent. Workout classes.
Yeah.
Push the stroller. There's a toddler in there.
Yeah. It's cool.
You know what I mean? Sorry, I shameless plug of many products and services that we're going to offer, but it parallel to what you just told me.
Yeah.
So
Rod, thank you so much
for the baby race.
Yeah, you'll love it. You'll love the Gloom game. It's a great vibe. And then just give us some suggestions how we make it better.
Easy, brother. Yeah. All love.
Rod, we'll have you back. I can definitely, we want you alive. Live at a Gloom game would be so much fun.
Bro, listen, we could do this while the game is playing.
That's right. It'd be so much fun.
I could go if you're, let's say that you're sitting to my right.
Yep.
I don't know. You look like you're a guy that you like more your right side than your left side. I like my left side more than my right side.
Both sides work.
Okay, so I like my left side. So let's say and we're talking, and hold on. Este güey, ¿qué está haciendo? What is he doing? Why is he not passing the ball? Yeah, that'd be hella funny.
It would be great. We can do it.
Done.
All right, Rod. Thank you so much. Congratulations on all your success. Thank you for being a mentor for me in Santa Fe, and just bringing the shop to Albuquerque. Your vision and your dreams are going to help out a lot of kids.
Amen, bro. Así será.
Okay.
Amen. Peace.
Thanks, Rod.